1980 when he did the remake of War of the Worlds, and I was not happy with that because back in the 80s when he released those other two, I went, oh, thank goodness, somebody's finally kind of getting it right or getting it closer so people won't have that fear factor, and we're so influenced by that. But because of like what you just said with George Lucas, that they have this, they know something on some level, so their representation to us I don't think is that far off. You know, I think they're close enough so at least we can get a feel of what's going on. Now, when you were talking about Vega, that's very interesting because one of the things I do when I'm out talking, when I'm talking about our galactic history, is there are many postulations, of course, and one of them was that we were absolutely started from Vega, and we came through Sirius B, and then we were star-seeded here on this planet. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, from the history that they gave me, that's pretty much what happened. They went first from Vega, and then they met other beings that were in the same star systems in the same constellation as Vega is, and they spread out through that constellation, then eventually wound up in Sirius and various neighborhood stars, as they call it in astronomy, around here on Earth that are about 50 to 100 light years away. You know, Vega's only about 26 light years away. So, and that's pretty much the way it is. And as far as this particular system here, the Earth's system, the solar system, used to have 3 and then 4 major systems of planets that were water planets. There was the one that's now the asteroid belt. There was Mars, there was Venus, and of course there's Earth. So they told me that these things underwent changes because the galactic wars swung through here roughly about 1 million years ago, and indirectly about 2 million years ago. So there were these 2 cycles. And Earth, of course, and as well as Mars and Venus, were all original colonies of this star nation to be. And so the history that we have is the stories, the ancient lost continents are actually real. Inner Earth is real because planets are hollow.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So if you go through all of that stuff, you immediately see that a lot of the concepts on this planet about the origins of humans is a little bit off.
Oh, I think it's way off, and I think that's what's so difficult because one of the things that I have issue with is that we have founded our whole civilization based on mythology, religious background, and dogma. I was brought up Roman Catholic, so, you know, we had a certain way of believing in everything, of course. But I find it a little bit difficult for people not to embrace the possibility of off-planet beings or inner Earth beings when we have built our whole civilization around stories and anecdotes that have been passed down, and there's no trace evidence of it. So it's you know, I don't understand why they can't go with what we already know somewhere deep in our core.
Well, science is slowly but surely getting there, which is what I like. The people who have checked the Pacific Basin have finally gotten off this crazy story that existed for a long time, that the Pacific Basin was formed when the moon was created, and of course the moon is an entire foreign body to the planet.
Mm.
So
go ahead.
Go. The moon is actually an artificial satellite from an advanced civilization that represented the old world that's now the asteroid belt. It got blown into an orbit between Mars and Earth, and then eventually, through a series of situations that led to the destruction of Lemuria and then the destruction of Atlantis, it wound up as the only moon. So really, it's not real. And of course, the people who have gone up there on the Apollo project have discovered that it's kind of strange because they did a bunch of experiments with seismology and discovered that the thing rang like a titanium bell.
No kidding. Well, I've also read or heard that the moon is in tow with us. We're kind of towing it along with us. Is that what you're postulating? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's in tow. It's in orbit, and it's not really a moon per se the way a moon would be. It's when this solar system was created, there were bits and pieces that did form satellites, and if you can look out all around the place, Saturn, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, you'll find all different kinds of remnants of that. There were also 2 of those that formed a moon. Each one was about 3/4 the size of our present moon, and these 2 moons were about 180 degrees apart. And so we had two original moons, and they created a perfect balance on this planet. And so what happened is when we lowered our frequency and became limited conscious beings on the surface of this planet, it allowed for one moon to exist in a very uneven orbit, very strange orbit, and doing all kinds of strange effects on this planet. So the result is that the Earth-Moon system, as it is described in modern astronomy, really isn't a part of the standard physics laws. It's a little bit different. And so that's something that we have to understand, and that's what a new science is all about. That's what I was trying to create when I was a teenager. Of course, I ran into a Newtonian when I was a freshman in the university, and he just made it a point to flunk me out of physics. So he did.
Really? Okay. Well,
so,
you know, even today, Sheldan, we're reading more and more how Isaac Newton's laws of physics and Einstein and even Darwin's theories of evolution, they're so poking holes in it. The new sciences today are just absolutely what was then, what they thought. You know, everything is flawed at its premise because the data is only as good as what you've got at the moment. And if you can recreate it, then they make it law. But it changes so, and we're in such a different time and place now that it no longer applies at all.
Exactly.
And this is what's shaking everybody up a lot. But you know, let's bring it up to a little bit more into this time. Now, here we are in the approaching 2012, which is the big time that everybody's talking about. But we are, in fact, going through some major shifts, and we all are aware on a cosmic level, a soul level, biogenetic level, whatever you want, the scientists, everyone's in agreement that something's about to happen. Everything's kind of coming together. I personally don't feel it's anything majorly catastrophic, but I do think it's going to change the way we look at life right now. What's your spin on that?
Well, my basic spin on it is that 2012 is a watershed for change, positive change, and that change has been going on for decades, and that the process right now is reaching ahead. So it may happen just before 2012. It may happen around that time.
Right.
But it's definitely out there. I mean, if you look at all the evidence going on just with ourselves as beings, we are becoming more and more conscious. We are integrating whole vast parts of who and what we are. Our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies are integrating right now. And the result is that new chakras or energy points in our body are coming out. All the points in our bodies that have been dormant for a long, long time, energy points, are now coming out. So we have all these nodes and meridians that are activating in our body that are kind of built around our nervous system. But our nervous system is really more than just some facsimile of a massive incredibly super wired computer and analysis system.
Exactly. I feel that we're biogenetic computers housing an energy spirit. You know, we're actually courageous galactic pioneers who signed up to bring this beautiful blue water planet to its full consciousness and ultimate evolution.
Exactly.
That's what I feel we're about right now. Let's talk about this new, describe for me the physical, mental, and emotional and spiritual changes that are happening to us. We were talking a little bit about that a minute ago, like, for example, our DNA. The DNA, we're forming another strand. They're saying that young children being born today, they can fill glasses of water just by looking at it.
Right. That's what is happening to us. What is happening is, you know, when Watson and Crick first discovered this double helix thing that they called DNA, the process was that they found this other stuff, which was a possible third strand and all kinds of things related to it that seemed to be inactive. And so the end result was that they just thought it was evolutionary detritus. And suddenly in the 80s, with these new kids we're talking about, this stuff started activating. Not only that, when they were discovering their project on the human genome, as they were going through it, they discovered that there's this massive amount of what they call junk DNA and that it's activating. And a lot of people who are studying the human genome believe deeply that this junk DNA that's activating is actually the remnants of our fully conscious beingness, that it's activating now, and it's acting upon our DNA, this double helix, and this now activating third strand to create something even better. And people who have looked at this and looked at DNA for a long time find out that it's extremely light activated. And some people have believed that the reason for sleep is that it allows the DNA in all our cells, it's in the nuclei of all our cells, to have a time to regenerate itself. And when it does so, it does through light. So we have These light codes that are coming through us all the time from multidimensional sources with information